All right, let's see if this see if I can actually like get through this and kind of play with it the right way. So I'm excited to join you guys today. And as John kind of asked, I wanted me to discuss kind of the importance of an effective communications program, highlight our services at Pennington and Company. So I'll start with my introduction. I'm Rod Barleen, and in addition to doting on my wife and chauffeuring my 12 and 10-year-old to all of their activities like I did this morning, I also serve as an executive vice president with Pennington. I also serve as the House Corporation president for the Kansas chapter of Delta Upsilon. And I've recently been asked to join the International Fraternities Board of Directors. So, and I guess as one does in Kansas City, I'm also a certified barbecue judge. So that doesn't mean I can cook it, but I am an expert taster. Let me try to go to the next slide real quick. Why is this not moving? Oh, here we go. So here's a little bit about Pennington and Company. We're the recognized leader in fraternity sorority fundraising. We've worked now with over 950 chapters across the country. I think that's on about 150 plus campuses. And last year, even though the S&P was down 19%, we raised 15% more and hit the $73.5 million mark in dollars raised, and that took us over the $1 billion threshold. And then we work with about 400 chapters currently managing their alumni communications programs. And I think we've worked with roughly 12 Phi Gamma Delta chapters, and that's been certainly a privilege over the past few years. I kind of bring up that breadth of knowledge and information, mostly to kind of talk about, we're now managing over 1 million alumni records on behalf of our clients. And so that allows us to really dig into the data. And then when we can compare and combine that with kind of third-party data from like the Foundation for Fraternal Excellence and their alumni and donor engagement survey, and other information from Cygnus Applied Research and other market research, we can really help get in tune with trends and evaluate how we can best kind of tweak and tailor our services to meet the best needs of our clients. So I'll kind of start like one of the things that we see out of our data. And so for the last 25 years, we've been conducting like 25,000 plus interviews with affluent Greek alumni. And I think it's probably important for me to share, because we get started on communications, like the 3 top complaints as to why alumni either don't extend and give what they can or don't give at all. And you guys that have been involved with house corporations for a while can probably jump in and answer a lot of these, but the number 1 complaint is they don't take care of the house, right? And typically they means that they're referencing the undergraduates, but occasionally we'll get comments that like it's really pointing the finger at the housing corporation. So it's number 1 is the don't take care of the house. Number 2 is somewhat related. It's I stopped by the house and I really wasn't made to feel welcome. So I have an image here of the guys like scrolling on their phones, or they continue to play the video games in the TV room, or probably worse off, guys just start to venture down the back hallway and kind of leave those unannounced visitors at the front door. And then the third most common complaint is I rarely hear from the chapter. The only time I hear from them is when they need money. And so that's where I'm going to kind of jump in and really talk about the communications part. So I referenced that Cygnus study previously. One of the things that has come out of the Cygnus data, and that was a survey across 37 fraternities and sororities. 128,000 alumni participated. And one of the key messages that came out was that, frankly, less than 30% of the alumni who responded were satisfied with the amount of communication they received from their chapter. 65% of the alumni say they never received mail. Nearly half said they never received email, even though more than half expect to receive mail, and 83% expect to receive email from the chapter. The other piece, taking that a step further, like this is my 22nd year with Pennington. And so I can recall in my early days getting conversations with prospective clients and folks saying, I'll go to my next slide here. If we only had email, like all of my alumni problems would go away. And then the next year was like, if we just had a website, that would solve all of our problems. Then it became, if we had Facebook, or today I'm getting calls like, how do we incorporate mobile apps and YouTube videos and TikTok, right? And I get it, like it's really easy for us to get enamored with the newest shiny toy and things that all the abilities to communicate with alumni. But unfortunately, a lot of times we end up taking a really hurried kind of shotgun approach. We send a tweet here, an email there, and frankly, most chapters fail to take the time to develop a communications plan that allows you to effectively layer your messages and utilize multiple channels to deliver the right message to the right audience at the right time, that holy grail of marketing to get your desired result. So here's where I kind of want to jump in, and I'm going to kind of lead in with like the kind of the 3 best practices that I'd like you to all consider in your communications program. So first and foremost, number 1, we've got to rely on direct mail. That should be our foundation for our communication efforts. Frankly, most chapters don't have enough valid email addresses, mobile phone numbers, and social media followers to really execute an effective digital-only communications plan. I'll share with you, when we get an alumni list from most headquarters, that information typically has a valid email address for roughly 30 to 40% of the alumni population. Plus, when we talk about that Cygnus data and half your graduates expect to receive mail from you, I'll also share donors have an even higher preference for direct mail. And there's a market reach study that noted that 70% of their respondents indicated that direct mail over any digital communication gave them a better impression of the organization or company that sent it, and that receiving that mail made them feel more valued as a member or customer. And that feeling spans all generations. So obviously, like our baby boomers are probably have more preference for direct mail than any other generation, but even us Gen Xers, those of us that are kind of like 45 to 60, while we've been really crucial in building the digital platforms and the technology revolution, we still remember the world before all those tools came into place. So we still value and appreciate the more traditional media. And then our Gen Z and millennial members, like they're so used to the digital communications. Frankly, I think there's a little bit of allure and novelty to getting direct mail that they really appreciate, and it catches their attention. The other piece to the digital communications, we are inundated with messaging. I think there's tens and hundreds of thousands of messages and pieces of content that we're exposed to on a daily basis. And so when you have that amount of content and the digital platforms are all managed by algorithms that really dictate what we see, and when the average email user receives more than 120 messages per day, it's really easier for us to compete for your graduates' attention against the other 4 pieces of mail in their mailbox. So when more and more emails is received and consumed on your phone, that shelf life of that email is a matter of minutes compared to like a print newsletter that frankly will be reviewed multiple times, probably over weeks as it journeys from your kitchen island to your coffee table and ultimately to your desk. The other piece that I think is kind of a hidden factor for direct mail, and Fidelity Charitable captured this in one of their studies, 81% of donors, where they have a spouse or partner, discuss giving decisions as the couple. And so I think that's important. I can't tell you how many times I've sat in a solicitation meeting with a fraternity alumnus, and his wife is joined, and she tells the stories and recounts that she's read every issue of the alumni newsletter, cover to cover, and really engaging and consuming the alumni news and notes and the stories about the chapter members. And that's really helped cement her support and willingness for the family and the household to make the gift to the fraternity chapter. The other kind of leading into the second point, and that's no matter how you communicate, the biggest thing to your communications is having compelling content. And so I know that with the Cygnus data, you can see on kind of this chart, they're very specific about what types of content alumni are like say is compelling. And so and this confirms what we've been telling and hearing from groups for years. While your alumni care about the chapter, and they want to know that the chapter's having success on campus, in academics, they want to know that membership is growing or holding steady, that it's still an organization that today's students want to join. They want to know that you're active in the campus and in the community. But what they really want to hear about are updates and features about their fellow alumni. And so one of the things we try to do with our content is really liberally utilizing names, hometowns, high schools, so that we can add that little bit of nostalgia and personal attention to your alumni as they're engaging with your content. The other piece to the content, and this kind of stems out of those 25,000 feasibility study interviews. For virtually every one of those interviews, we've asked the question to the alumnus, like, do you feel fraternities are still relevant to the goals of higher education and relevant to today's student? And I'll share with you, like, up until 2016, 90% of those alumni would kind of give us a resounding yes. And then you can imagine, like, that opened the floodgates of all the stories and tales about their lifelong friendships, the development of leadership and social skills, the sense of community and the value of the small group living environments that really affirm and define the fraternity experience. But I'll tell you, in 2017, we started seeing a pretty sharp kind of a switch. We stopped hearing those stories, and our most loyal and dedicated alumni started to say, like, "Hey, Rod, you're the expert. Like, I don't know. You tell me." And that's pretty troubling, to be quite honest. We've had to really work with our team, and I know Rob in the kind of the recorded message talked about all the research and data that's being compiled on the relevancy and value of fraternity. Like, I'm gonna tell you, our team, our entire staff is getting that same education. Like, we're following that research, and we're making sure that we can utilize it to help you tell a story that inspires trust and confidence, not only in the fraternal movement today, but help assure your graduates that Phi Gamma Delta membership experience is still viable and valuable. The third kind of key point that I want to talk about is really the consistent cadence. And one thing that I see with fraternities is it's really easy to get a newsletter and communication out kind of on an every, like on for like a year or maybe 2 years. You've got great volunteers, you've got great undergraduates. They're able to get that message out. But the real key to building trust and credibility with your alumni is to have that consistent cadence of message. When your graduates know that they can count on receiving updates on that consistent basis, they feel more valued and connected to Phi Gamma Delta. And that in turn can lead to increased involvement with volunteering, attending events, and making donations. So when you have a project at the house, when there's a change in leadership or an upcoming event, like, alumni want to be in the know on those things. So having that regular cadence of messaging can really ensure that they receive the timely and relevant information that keeps them engaged and connected. And that also then provides alumni to really connect with each other. And so it allows you to create that sense of community and encourage the alumni involvement that you're seeking. So I want to make sure I open up for I know there's bound to be a lot of questions. So I wanted to leave a few minutes of time for those. So I'm going to kind of jump into just kind of the last recap of some of the things that I think are key. And the one thing is we outside of the not for college days alone, you've all probably heard the statement of like, people will forget what you had said or did, but they'll never forget how they made you feel. And I think in the context of alumni communications, it's important to remember that no matter how good your communication efforts are, if you don't take care of the house, if each and every member from your first year member to your most senior alumnus, if they're not doing everything they can to engage every unannounced visitor or every visitor at pig dinner, it really doesn't matter what you say in your graduate newsletter. Like, you have to make sure they feel Phi Gamma Delta and that they feel like they're a valuable part of your organization. The other piece to this is, and I think some groups don't quite make the connection here. Even if you're not actively fundraising and soliciting major gifts, I want you to recognize that you are in a campaign. I can't tell you how many times I've had an alumnus talk to me about, well, my son wasn't given a bid, and that's what's holding me back from wanting to be engaged with the fraternity. He doesn't care to share that lack of a bid happened 30 years ago, right? And so the things that we do today are going to impact not only the next campaign, but probably future campaigns. So there's like kind of that ancient proverb of the best time to plant a tree was 20 years. The second best time is today. Like, I hope that all of you have been consistently communicating for 20 years, but if not, I hope that you'll make the commitment today to start those efforts so that you can more quickly bear fruit or provide shade or whatever kind of tree you'd plant, starts to begin for your chapters. We want to make sure you're consistently communicating and delivering that compelling content so you can start building the trust, the credibility, and really strengthening the environment in that engagement to build confidence in Phi Gamma Delta with your graduates. And then third, I probably just jumped a little bit ahead. The one thing that we're also seeing is in the communication side, the one thing I get is the expense associated with direct mail. And so I think you'd be surprised that print isn't as expensive as you might think. I did some numbers this week just in advance of this presentation. If you have 500 graduates or more, and you wanted to do 4 mailings per year, and that's 2 4-page full color newsletters, that's a biographical update, a solicitation letter, like, your expense would be less than $5 per year per alumnus. And it could be as low as $3.22 for some of the larger chapters. And so I think I don't want you to think that the cost should be the real roadblock. I think we've got to make sure that we budget for utilizing that direct mail to really make the impact. So as I said, I want to make sure I give the opportunity for questions. I've put my phone number, my email here. I'd love to be able to have the opportunity to talk with each and every one of you and talk about how we might design or tailor a program for you and your specific chapter. But Dio, if we have time at this point, I'd love to open it up for questions.
Hey, Rod, it's Howard Clark. How you doing today?
I'm great.
I mean, obviously, what you're providing is the backbone or the infrastructure for compiling and delivering the communication product. But what's necessary in order for that to happen clearly is the content. So what direction do you provide to the undergraduate chapter to assist them in compiling and developing the content on a consistent and regular basis?
So one of the things we made a switch a few years ago with our team to really invest in having a team of content developers. And so our kind of structures, we have a consultant who works closely with you, and they're kind of working with you to understand your goals and objectives and the things you're trying to accomplish, and then kind of teeing up with you as the graduate contact with the students that were within the chapter, and then with our team of collaborating on what's the right content and message that we need to deliver to help you reach those goals. And so our team is helping to pull those stories out. We do a lot of alumni interviews where if we get a little bit of information about a kind of a keen story that would be interesting and compelling for alumni, like we're going to try to draw that out. Like I can think of a client, a sorority client for one of my University of Kansas organizations, and they had 3 alumni, all who were kind of connected to the Kansas basketball team. So there was a mom whose son was on the team. We had a wife of another Division I coach who happened to, in his college days, played at Kansas. And then a third who's the wife of an NBA general manager who also at one point had a son on the team. And so we crafted a story that we thought would be interesting for all of those KU alumni about those 3 women and their involvement with Kansas basketball and kind of how that Tri Delta, I think it was the Tri Delta chapter, like kind of how that role kind of played in with their lives. So our team's trying to capture those interesting stories and then tie in like the value of the fraternity into their lives and into the experience. We're also trying to do the one thing that I think alumni want to hear is what's the impact of the organization on our current students. And so if you have a scholarship program or a leadership school or things that you're bringing to the chapter, we're trying to get those sound bites and testimonials from the students of what do those programs mean? What kind of value is it having, so that we can tell those stories to your graduates.
And is that service included in the cost of the under $5 per alumni?
So the under $5 per alumnus is the printing and postage costs. You'd also with us have an annual fee that's probably in the neighborhood of $5,000 to $7,000 over for the year, and that service is built into those fees.
Okay, thanks.
Rod, would those fees also include address management, both email and snail mail?
It does. Our team, like I said, we manage over 1 million records for fraternity and sorority alumni, and so we're our system. We follow kind of the national change of address with the U.S. Postal Service, so we get updates every 90 days. We work with our mail house to as we're doing a mailing, we try to see if there's address updates that have hit the system before we mail. With Omega Phi and our partners, they handle kind of the PO box and the return mail process. So that all comes back to us and we make those updates and changes for you. I mentioned kind of that biographical update mailing. We send that out in the mail as well as via an email form to try to capture those like new phone numbers, new mobile numbers, new emails, new business information. We're trying to capture all of that and make sure that your data is up to date as possible.
So you stated in your presentation that when you receive a database of mailings, that they're 30-40% of the roster, if you will. what kind of numbers have you seen through your process of improving those hit rates from 30, 40%? What can you take them to?
We have groups that have upwards of 75, 80, 90% with email addresses now, for groups that have been with us for a while. It can be a slog. Like it can take some time to make sure that we capture that, and we provide the compelling reason for alumni to provide us with those contact points. But we have some groups that have pretty significant percentages now of email addresses. I think the one fear that alumni have about giving that data to us is that we're going to inundate them with probably solicitation requests and content that they don't find as valuable. And so that's one thing that we try to we challenge ourselves of, again, like thinking through our content calendar and the schedule, like what is going to be valuable to that alumnus, and make sure that we're really only reaching them with good, valuable content, and not just not just spamming them with updates just to send something.
Rod, I want to say thank you. Thank you for taking time out of your Saturday afternoon to join us for the housing conference. Brothers, if there are any other questions for Rod, please either feel free to funnel them through me, or direct them right to Rod. I will share his presentation afterwards in a follow-up email as well. So, and any follow-up questions can be addressed as needed. But brothers, as we go into our last educational breakout session, please again use your conference program to join that next session. But Rod, again, I just want to say thank you for joining us.
Thank you guys. I appreciate it.